The following program is brought to you by Bruce Telecom.
Well, good evening, and I'd like to call to order this committee of the whole meeting for the town of Saugeen Shores and extend a welcome to everyone in the chambers this evening. Our first order of business is a declaration of pecuniary interest, and I'll remind every member of your responsibility. You can do so now or when it arises. We have no additions, deletions, or amendments to the agenda. And this evening, the next item then on the agenda is delegations. We have one delegation, and it's Sally Kidson, Jonah Ebel, and Jim Barber from the Saugeen Memorial Hospital Foundation, and they're going to give us an update on the Grand Fondo and Light the Way campaign. Welcome.
Thank you. Actually, I'm here to say thank you. We're here this evening to say thank you and give you an update on the Grand Fondo Lake Huron. You have been involved from the beginning, and we wanted to share some of the details from our post-ride survey and financial results. We cannot thank you enough for all of your support. We were very fortunate to have RCMB Inc. as an in-kind sponsor this year. RCMB Inc. assists organizations to clarify and clearly understand their customers and their markets, so with insight they can make tough strategic decisions. They specialize in tourism sector and tackle important social issues, and they're located in Barrie.
If you take a look at the numbers, oops, I think I went two times. One more, there we go. If you take a look at the numbers, we're thrilled to say we have 95% approval rating from our riders. 92% were very likely to return, and 96% were very likely to recommend the Grand Fondo Lake Huron to friends and family. For a first-year event, this is amazing. Our riders were predominantly in the 45 to 64 range and very well educated. 51% were permanent or seasonal residents. The Grand Fondo Lake Huron was a strong tourist draw to our area. 63% met the definition of tourist, which means that the event was greater than 40 kilometers from their permanent place of residence. Only 37% were truly local residents. It's very interesting to note that 70%, sorry, I went a little too slow there, that 79%, pardon me, of the tourists stayed overnight, and almost half of those stayed 4 nights or more, with slightly less than half staying 1 to 2 nights. A further statistic not listed on this slide indicates that many riders visited the area 2 to 3 times in advance of the ride to become familiar with the area and to practice the routes. This adds further tourism and economic dollars and value to the event. As you know, our fundraising goal was $150,000. Here's a snapshot of how we did. Our registration revenue was a little lower than we had hoped, but our sponsorship and fundraising revenues were well above our goals. We were able to keep our expenses below budget for the most part, and although many costs were fixed regardless of the number of cyclists, we were able to save a few dollars here and there. I say we, but really it was Sally figuring out how to save those dollars. We're so pleased to announce that we made $138,458. Not quite a $150,000 goal, but we're thrilled with these results for the first year. Given the success of this year's event, the Board of Directors of the Saugeen Memorial Hospital Foundation have voted to make the Grand Fondo Lake Huron an annual event. Please mark August the 18th, 2019 on your calendars. I'm very glad to see you pulling out your cell phones to do that right now. That's wonderful. That's good. Bonus points, extra marks. All right. Thank you to Lisa for already reserving the Coliseum for us, and hopefully the floor construction will be completed by then. We are, of course, looking at ways to improve the event. We will be looking at grant possibilities to help offset some of our costs. There will be some small tweaking of the routes, and perhaps a new registration system that can more effectively handle registrations and donations.
But of course, We are not a sports organization running a sporting event. Because of the Grand Fondo Lake Huron, we are now able to commit an additional $115,000 to the fundraising efforts for the new MRI located in Owen Sound. Note that the MRI overall cost is $4.7 million, so this is a small drop in the bucket. The balance of the dollars raised during the Grand Fondo will go towards the $150,000 required for our hospital in Southampton, with the rest of this amount being targeted to be raised in our Light the Way campaign, which is just around the corner. It is important to note that this year, the Foundation's total fundraising goal and the need for equipment is almost $1 million, just in case you thought the Grand Fondo Lake Huron solves all our fundraising needs. Carrying on with the theme, the work of the Foundation continues with the focus of saying thank you to our wonderful supporters on November 5th from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the hospital in Southampton. Please note that this event is open to anyone who has supported the Foundation. It's a come-and-go event where you can drop by, have a piece of our 20th anniversary cake, meet the new executive director who begins on October 29th, and see the new donor wall, which is depicted in this slide. It's absolutely beautiful. Following that, of course, we go right into our Light the Way fundraising campaign. Attached with this presentation was a letter requesting that Council formally designate December 13th as Light the Way Day in Saugeen Shores. Hopefully, given the upcoming election, you are still able to do this for us. We are also pleased to announce that Judy Rich has agreed to be our honorary chair for 2018. Finally, we would like to thank each and every one of you for your unfailing support for all of the work we do at the Foundation. And with regards to the Grand Fondo, for waiving the fees at the Coliseum, riding, sponsoring, and cheering us on. In particular, I would like to mention the work of the Saugeen Shores police officers who came out on their day off to keep everyone safe, along with the Kincardine OPP detachment. They were amazing. And this evening, we have a special presentation for you. We have the artist who helped design our medals. His name is Andre Saunders. So you can come up now, Andre. And his sister, Suri. So Suri is going to come up as well. And we thought that even though you may not have ridden in the event, you are all hospital heroes because you have supported our hospital in so many ways. From the $200,000 you gave to the ER Lab expansion project to your annual support for Light the Way and the Grand Fondo, we thank you and hope you enjoy your hospital hero medals. Okay, guys, off you go. Through there. Andre said we decided that we should give it to the mayor first. Come on, Mayor Mike. Suri, do you want to come and do this side of the room here, please? We had hoped that Kylie would be able to be with us tonight, but unfortunately she had a very busy day at daycare and was too tuckered out to come to the meeting this evening. Oh. We hope you will wear your medals with pride, and maybe when you're traveling around the province as councillors and ambassadors for Saugeen Shores, you might be able to say, you know, I got a medal because of the work we did with our hospital. Does anyone have any questions of us?
Councillor Matheson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I just want to congratulate Sally, you and your team for an excellent job. Andre and his sister for the medals that you created. It was a fantastic weekend. I know that you're planning big stuff for next year. A couple little tweaks here there. I've heard nothing but good stuff, and I hope to be able to ride in it next year. So congratulations, and I look forward to bigger and better things.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Charbonneau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you guys for coming in this evening. I just wanted to share a story with you about that day of the Grand Fondo. I was there. I came to the closing ceremony and said a few words, and then as I was leaving, heading back uptown in Southampton, somebody came up to me and they said, "You're the deputy mayor." And I said, "Yeah." And they said, I compete in these things all over the place, all over this country, even outside of the country." And they said, "This is the very best one of these events that I have ever been to." And I said, "Why is that?" And they said, lots of places have nice vistas and beautiful places to ride a bike, but it's the people. It was the people, the volunteers. They made it. They made it the best event that gentleman had ever been involved in. And so, and you know well how important those people are, and we know how important they are in our community. So, I mean, it's you folks up here and all the people who helped you bring this together, and I hope we'll be there to help you bring it together every year. Just congratulations to the whole works of you. This community wouldn't be the same without you. Thank you.
Vice Deputy Mayor Huber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you know, I was one of the Chambettes who was at the hospital as people were coming in, and I just want to let you know that putting people there basically, and we didn't slow anybody down, but it brought a focus to the hospital, and people from the hospital, patients and other people who were in the ER that day came out and they cheered with us. But about half the people that went by, we were yelling thank you to them. About half the people yelled back, "Oh, it's the hospital. No, thank you." So, if you hadn't heard that from the Chambettes, that's the message we got, that people were thanking us for putting on the event, and they were grateful that they actually rode right by the hospital at the end.
Okay, well, I just, you've been thanked lots. I'll thank you again. That was a great event. I have a little different thing. I understand we're getting a new executive director, and I suspect this may be your last time there at the podium as an executive director, Sally?
Probably.
It is. Well, I think we owe you all a debt of gratitude for the work that you've done to the foundation for the many years you've been here, and this event and many, many other events. So enjoy your retirement.
You too.
Thank you. I certainly intend to. Thanks, Sally. Thanks, Jim. And thanks, Jonah. Oh, the next thing on the agenda is there's a number of minutes there for having a little. There's nothing under that. Then we have a number of information reports, and the first one is an information report on the harassment-free workplace, and I think our CEO would like to speak to it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and I will be quite brief. Council and senior management have taken steps and continue to take steps to protect staff and ensure staff work in a harassment-free environment. As our organization evolves and our community evolves, staff will update our policies to protect our staff, and in the information report, it makes reference to two initiatives that we will get council's approval on, either when a lease or rental agreement comes or through a policy change related to the R-Zone program. So you get more information on that.
Thank you. The next one then is a labor shortage report. I think it speaks for itself. I don't know if Jessica wants to speak to it. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. The information report is really it's an open dialogue of the labor shortage that we are hearing in social media and through the media in Saugeen Shores. So the issue itself around labor shortage isn't isolated to Saugeen Shores. So that's part of the message in this report. It certainly is a national issue. Certainly affordable housing initiatives may support the service industry, but I do recognize, and we do recognize, that there's more strategy to be taken to work towards fixing this labor shortage. So the final section of the report, you'll see in the coming months that we're working to collaborate with partners, BIA's, Chamber of Commerce, County, members of Parliament as well, to plan a roundtable discussion relating to the labor shortage. So we will look forward to doing that in the coming months, and I'm open to any questions you may have.
Councillor Grace.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Jessica. I'm really happy to see this, and I know that I'm sure all my colleagues have heard our residents' concerns about this issue, and I'm really glad that you're being proactive and taking this initiative. My question is, will you be involving other counties in this initial stage, or is that going to happen later if this is a regional issue?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. I think at this stage, I'd like to focus on Saugeen Shores. I think that it's really important that the message for our residents, visitors, for our community, that our community understands that the issue isn't just here, it is a national issue. So I see this happening as a local piece to begin with, and then from those discussions, maybe leveraging it up and working with our county partners. Certainly Grey County right now is doing lots of work on newcomers and new Canadians, and I think that there's opportunities to collaborate with Bruce County and Grey County and work through this together. But I think starting locally on the ground is the first step.
Councillor Mike Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Jessica, I just want to congratulate you as well and thank you for bringing this to the forefront. Geared income housing, affordable housing, it really excites me when I hear about the roundtable discussion relating to labor shortage. And so this is all really very good news and something that needs to happen in Saugeen Shores. And albeit, yes, provincially, federally, maybe globally, you know, this is a problem with labor shortage, so we're going to address it. So good for you. And when you say in the coming months, you'll collaborate with partners, and you listed them. Is this something you're thinking November, December, January, February? How soon?
Mr. Mayor, I think this initiative will be a 2019, maybe Q1 of 2019. I'd like to do it before too long, but certainly I want to make sure that we have the right players at the table and that we have everybody's availability to do that.
Mayor Charbonneau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for this report. And I'm particularly pleased with the initiative on the, as my colleague Councillor Myatt is on the roundtable discussion. I think that discussing that issue and the issue, and it's worth driving it home, as you said it one more time, that it is a national, a regional, national, as well as a local issue. So having that discussion, but in addition, having the discussion about with business owners, about what solutions are out there. You know, business owners are as we speak, coming up with solutions to this problem, and some will have some and some won't have them. And we need to get those business owners together and share those ideas. And the other thing we need to talk to the community about is what those solutions might look like, you know, because business owners are going to need to be doing things, possibly automating more of the things that they're doing. Not because, and I think a lot of the impression that has been out in the public about automated checkouts, or if you're buying if you're at a restaurant and you're ordering through an iPad, that the intent of the business owner is to bottom line a minimum wage worker, and that is not the case. The fact is, in this situation, these businesses need to do these things to continue to be in business and provide the services that we need, and we need to make sure the public hears that message, that this problem is real, and that business owners have to do things to overcome that obstacle, and that the public needs to be supportive of our businesses while they do those things. So I hope that that will be part of the discussion. I know it will be, but I commend you again for the initiative.
Councillor Dave Mayapp.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you, I also agree that this is a bit of a crisis problem that we have here in Saugeen Shores, and of course regionally and nationally as well. I also have a feeling that Saugeen Shores is a little bit different. We do live in a bit of a bubble through we're different in a lot of ways, and I think that just a word of caution that we don't create 20-year solutions to what are really 5 or 6 year problems. And what I mean by that is, if you look at it from a demographic point of view, the service workers, if that's what we're talking about, the people who are doing the waitressing and the service level jobs, and I've talked about this with my colleagues from the Chamber of Commerce, those people are typically entering the workforce at a younger age. They're the 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, right? So part of the problem that we're having today is because in 1991 and 92 and 93, we had a shrinking population. We had people leaving the community. Baby rates were low. But today, we have a much different situation. We've got a much bigger, a bit of a baby boom going on. And some of those kids are now in grade 4 and grade 5, the leading edge of that baby boom. So in a mere 6 or 7 years, those kids are going to be coming out of high school and be filling those jobs. So I think that it's a smaller range problem that's going to correct itself in time, but we do have a bit of a crisis at the current time. But I encourage you, and I hope I can be involved in some of these discussions.
Okay, then the next item is the municipal retirees report. I don't know if I'll speak to it. If there's any questions to it? If nothing, then the bridge rehabilitation report, and Amanda's here.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'll be brief on this as well. We had a bridge rehabilitation or assessment report done, and it came up with 5 recommended structures. We put the bid out. We got 1 contractor bidding. We went back and to be within budget, we're going to do 3 more important repairs this year and then add the 2 that were left out into next year's budget. So those 3 repairs will be on Salmon Bridge, a culvert on 2829, and the Railway Street culvert.
Thank you. Councillor Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And through you, we certainly, or I certainly take this as good news, especially from a Saugeen Township point of view, Saugeen Ward point of view, in that we're finally looking at some bridge repairs. This is something that's been a long time coming, and I thank you for doing that. And when you say the culvert on 2829, are we talking where the McEwing Bridge is currently?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, no, the diagram shows structure number 17, so it's between the town line and concession 2.
That's not the McEwing Bridge? That's not the bridge? No?
No.
Okay, so when we do talk about structures like the McEwing Bridge, the small one on 1819, is there any consideration being given to alternative structures such as large concrete culverts as opposed to putting a traditional steel or concrete girder bridge? I think the municipalities that have gone and looked at these new and innovative ways of doing things have found that costs are in favor of doing it, and the time to do it is also favorable as well. Is this something that we're looking at actively, or is it bridge for bridge?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, the McEwing Bridge is the next report that I have on the agenda, and it is Schedule A plus Class EA right now, so there will be design alternatives investigated.
Oh, that is the next one. You've taken it. Sure. Is there any questions on the McEwing Bridge? Councillor Minaj.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So my question is general in nature, similar to Councillor Mayette's review, and Amanda and Councillor Mayette, myself, we went out to the 1314 Side Road Bridge, which is the Kolb Bridge, right?
Correct.
And we had a lengthy discussion on options and talks about, you know, where are we with spending large amounts of money for essentially 2 farms that use that road exclusively for their needs. So my question would be, generally speaking, is any of this tied to the transportation master plan, and what process? Because for 4 years we talked around the issue, but I don't believe we ever sat as a group study and said, you know, some of these bridges just cannot be. If that's my opinion, that I felt that looking at some of these bridges that we might come to that conclusion that we're just going to close them. And I think we should be more upfront with the public that could be a possibility. But when, if it's not the transportation study, if it's not ongoing with staff, when would that opportunity surface before? Not from a report like this on the McEwing Bridge. There's no discussion. I guess the discussion was made at budget time that, yeah, we're doing it regardless. We've already made that decision. But at some point, all of these bridges would go through that process, and they might not all be repaired as they stand today.
Well, we did, prior to this term, we did some pretty extensive public consultation on 3 bridges. There was the Moore Bridge, the Kolb Bridge, and the McEwing Bridge. And so there was some preferred, and so we went to the public, heard their input, I think a couple of times, and there was some solutions that came forward out of that. And I think this is one of the recommendations, was that the McEwing Bridge would be the one that would be replaced. We have subsequently closed the Moore Bridge, so we've closed one already. And I think this is just the natural flow out of that consultation we did back about 3 or 4 years ago. Well, I suspect, I don't know. You want to speak to that, Amanda?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's not exactly tied to the transportation master plan. No, the county is looking at doing theirs as well this year, so there will be discussions about that. But out of the biannual bridge inspection reports, they are coming back with recommendations, and in those, they tend to have the 0 to 5 year closure or rehabilitation of a bridge. And when that comes up, then we go through the Class EA process, and do nothing is always an option we have to look at, and that do nothing ends up being closing the bridge if it doesn't meet structural integrity any longer. So that's always in the analysis of the move forward when a bridge hits that recommendation from the structural engineer.
Okay, if there's nothing else, then that is the end of our committee of the whole agenda and a motion to adjourn. I'll look to this side for David and Don, sorry. Councillor Madison, thinking of your uncle.
The preceding program was brought to you by Bruce Telecom.